Hey, Miss Lindsay.
Hello.
Hey, that's funny. You talk about DEI, economic shutdown. We all the way wrong. Hey, we all the way wrong. What? We in this bitch. Last day of Black History Month too? And I got
Oh,
this Lindsay lady in it.
and it's the Pisces new moon and sun combination today. It's a powerful day.
Yeah, I bet. Shit, I can see my members now. All of them, they like, nigga, Dream, what the fuck? We need to see some, we need to see some Oni Osaru or something.
Well, I'm gonna just apologize in advance. I do have some white women wisdom to share today. It's
Oh shit.
universal wisdom, but I my resource is a fellow white girl like me, so you know
Hey, get it
we'll
in, get it
we'll
in.
keep,
What?
keep it interesting for you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. What's up, Rising Vibes? What's up, Brianna? What's good, Ike? What's up, technology? What's good? What's good, y'all? We in here. We're gonna wait for a few more people to fall up in this thing. Yeah, nah, Morris, I had seen that thing and I was like, I just didn't, I didn't understand what it was. I said, wait, we supposed to be doing what? And obviously, I'm never gonna follow anything in that nature. The problem with it is it doesn't actually add up. Like, what y'all gonna stop for a day and do what? Like that shit is they can finagle the numbers. You feel me? So it's like an illusionary thing that people are tricking themselves with.
I feel like it's just roll call to see who they still got under control.
You know what it really is? You know what's wrong with the whole thing? If black people really want to band together, then you got to be able to understand the separation. You feel me? Like niggas gonna have to be comfortable removing themselves from white
It
people.
period. It
Yeah,
period. Like that was
yeah.
my thing. Like with when I was like, I don't vote. I tell people like I argue for Trump. But I'm like, I don't vote. And it's because we're not supposed to be participating. No way. We're supposed to take our black dollar completely up out the system.
Right. So then it's just it's the idea of what Trump is doing is absolutely right because he's at least putting it into a perspective, into an energy of, hey, nigga, everybody go for their own. Like that lady that got fired on what was it, Fox, CNN or whatever, the Black Joy or whatever. Cool, she got fired, right? No, not her, not the Joy Taylor dude, the black lady. What's the
Joy,
black lady?
Joy
Y'all let me?
Reid.
Oh.
Joy Reid.
Joy Reid, right? There's a lot of joys getting moved around and shit. She she needs to understand, like, nigga, if they don't like you because of your skin color, then they can't acquire your talent. See, we got Lindsay here, right? And Lindsay being here is we see the light in her no matter what her skin color is. So it does, you know what I'm saying? So we're on the merit of looking at her value instead of like her skin and shit. You know what I'm saying? People is just confusing. So I love what Trump is doing because he's saying like, hey, if they got a prejudice towards you, then they really don't want to see your talent, utilize your talent to be able to move whatever company energy that you are in the fold with. So, I think it's a very, very important that we judge people on their talent rather than their skin color. Now, if people are doing that, then so shall it be. And then eventually what will happen is you'll see opportunities where you can put your energy into other people that look like you. You feel me? But just don't do it on the merit of like, um, I want to join in a group. I want y'all to include me too. You feel me? Because we can build amazing things just as well too. What's up, Jock? All right, let's get it on. What's good, Titus? What's good, Titus? Let's get some music since this is the last day and shit of Black History Month. Let's get some music. You feel me? You don't mind, huh, Lindsay? Let's get this shit.
We're good.
Sounds of blackness.
Yeah, let's get some reels. You know what
But
I'm
we are
saying?
going into the void, the womb of creation today, so it seems
Oh, okay.
appropriate.
Yeah, I got some shit. I got some stuff then. You feel me? Hold on, watch this. You feel me though? Watch this. We gotta keep it. We gotta get this energy up. You feel me? Get this energy up real quick and let's get Lindsay on some vibes. Let's get her on some vibes. Let's see. Let's see. Y'all bear with me, shit, while I get this thing right. So we can get our vibes right. Yeah, let's do it like this. This might work. Hold on, let me see. See if we can get the right song. You know what I'm saying? So we can just get our energy up in here, energy up.
I also do have a meditational exercise that has some music associated if you can't find something, but
Oh, I found something. All right. I found some. I'm just about to make sure. Hold on. I'm about to make sure. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go, Lindsay. This is what we need right now.
all right, let's hear.
Yes. This is what we need right now. You feel me? We got to get our vibrations right. Hold on a second. Okay. Hello. Let's see. All right. Here we go. Let's get this energy up. Check us out.
Say, man, where my motherfucking G's at? Yeah, huh? Where my gangster bitches at? Put your
Am I
motherfucking
supposed to be able
hood
to
up,
hear me?
nigga. Take that. I wanna see you rep your set. You know, I'm finna two-step over
We
here to the
cannot hear,
bar.
baby.
Yeah.
I
Get
wonder
my
if
Y'all
it's
Hennessy
can't, oh,
on,
y'all can't
nigga.
hear?
there.
No.
I don't know.
Hold on. Y'all guys, hold on.
Oh, it's
Okay.
And it
probably
look like you place the ghetto spot over here.
Hey, y'all are funny, boy. What's wrong with y'all? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. We gonna get this thing right. Hold on, Lindsay. You got to stop sharing your screen, I think.
I did.
Oh,
We're
you
good.
did? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Share sound. Why is it optimized for sharing? It's not working for some reason. Okay.
No.
See, they trying to play. Y'all can't hear it at all. It says it's shared sound. I'm gonna try it one more time. I think this is gonna set the mood. This is gonna set us up perfectly. 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 Hold on, maybe I gotta do this. Let me do this first. And then let's see if we can get the vibes right in here. Oh, they not even, oh, they playing today. They don't want us to. Okay, let me know if y'all can hear this now. Let me know if y'all can hear this now. Let's get the vibes right for Lindsay.
Where my motherfucking G's at? Where my gangster bitches at? Put your motherfucking hood up, nigga. Take that. I wanna see you rep your set. You know, two-step over here to the bar. Yeah. Get my Hennessy on, nigga. You know, me with it, rock with it. I got me some blood going, okay? Oh, two-way, nigga. Talking two-way.
It still sound bad. I ain't gonna lie to you.
What, for real?
Yeah, it's
Damn.
bad. You cannot
Why?
really hear it. It's in and out.
I don't know, Dream. It's not the best vibes. We can't hear it right.
Sound like somebody cussing
Exactly.
their Wi-Fi.
You're lucky, boy. I was
That
about,
ain't the option, buddy.
you're lucky. Oh my God, y'all lucky. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That see, spirit be like, nah, no, dream, don't do it. Don't do it. Confirm you are speaking. Don't worry about it. We good. We good. Anyway,
All right, you ready to play?
let's get it on, Lindsay. Let's get it on. Hey, look, the part one, let me say this first. Part one of Lindsay's build was absolutely fire with the sacred geometry and the anatomical structure. And I was looking at it a few days ago again, and I was blown away just on the ideas and the information that she presented that can unlock things inside of us that moves us in particular directions of consciousness and enlightenment. So I'm excited about this build today, part two, archetypical and elemental geometrical blueprints. Lindsay, go ahead, take it away.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited. We're going to go a little slower on this one. I have to be honest, part one is probably the most important information I have within me. If we understand how the heart works, if we understand how the universe works, if we understand how creation works, we really have the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. So we'll go just a little bit deeper with that and talk about how these keys and codes that I gave in part one, the codes of creation, essentially, how they work in different respects today. So this is me. My name harmonically is Lynn C, representing water. And of course, sound is anchored in water. So even my understanding of this is encoded in my name. And I share this because I want you guys to begin to look at your names and the harmonics and the words that surround you, because they're going to unlock what parts of the universal blueprint belong to you and your archetypal identity. So for me, it's like even my middle name with my last initial, all is one song, right? And so this is like my teaching. This is really is about my journey to understanding myself. So I can speak to it from an understanding of self. And so now that I have this understanding of myself, how do I use it? I help people activate their rainbow bodies. I do it for you, and I also teach people how to do it themselves. I take that wisdom. I work on the cymatic blueprint of Earth in the land itself, harmonizing the energies. I received my energetic attunements on the heart chakra of Gaia. And I'm currently studying as a bioacoustic astrological sound cymatic practitioner to help people use their astrology chart, which is your personal cymatic blueprint, to unlock missing frequencies of your soul. And we actually use your body and your voice to do that. And I am teaching it because when I started doing this work for myself, it opened up the entire world for me. I found out that my moon sign is connected to the missing 13th constellation of Ophiuchus, which is the serpent bearer. And of course, we're in the year of the snake. So that was a really big clue for me about the work that I'm supposed to be doing on the land related to a place called Serpent Mound, which is here in the United States. It's the only place on Earth an asteroid has ever struck a fault line. And so we're going to talk about it today, actually. I'm also a photographer. So I work with light through my camera lens, which is really what all of us are doing when we are marrying mind and heart. So that's how I externally express, is through photographic work. in my career. And I also work with structured water. I create products that you can use in harmony with the moon to align all this stuff. So just about me, in case you didn't catch part one. But one new thing is that since I did part one, I actually have gone through my final initiations as a priestess of the 13 Moon Mystery School, which we're going to talk about that today as well. So, previously I introduced the Mayan calendar and the understanding of light and sound, marriage, which is really about the Hieros Gamos, alchemical union of sun and moon. The Mayan system seeks to do that and was really the original system to marry light and sound, and the author of the modern book on that is Ariel Spilsbury, who's the founder of the 13 Moon Mystery School, and she's the one who has mentored me as I've gone through my final initiations. And we're going to hear some of her wisdom as it relates to sacred geometry and the 13 specifically today. Let me get this. There we go. Okay. So what have we been? I just want to quickly recap because we really need to understand what I've been talking about so far in order for anything I'm going to talk about from here on out to make sense. So we're talking about unlocking the Philosopher's Stone, the marriage of sun and moon, marriage of all polarities into undifferentiated singularity. That means head and heart, mind and matter, light and sound, body and earth. The people, our person, our chakras, and our planet in the cosmos, heaven and earth, uniting all of this through geometry, through light, and through sound. And that is really the great trinity of the triangle and the great work that all of us are here to do. As we align these things within ourselves, everything else into our world falls into a state of perfection, crystalline, crystal clear clarity. And that's because we live in a holographic universe, which we will talk about today as well, and how geometry and two-dimensional geometries that project a three-dimensional hologram, that actually is the experience that all of us can have as pure crystalline consciousness. So this is really the biggest thing that I want you guys to understand. What is geometry? I'll be honest, geometry is created from sound. When you take sound, like if I strike this tuning fork, I know you guys can't hear it. Oh, shoot, you can't see it very well. There you go. If I hold it in front of myself, this is creating a sound pattern. Now, if I apply this tuning fork to my body, which is 90% water, it's going to create these geometrical prints and patterns based on the frequency of the tuning fork. This one is tuned to the frequency of the crown chakra. And I have it here because we are in Pisces, moon and sun today, which is associated with the crown chakra. Also, the harmonic tone of B. So that is what the universe is doing to you today. So if you want to enter the state of crystalline consciousness, you can attune your body to that musical tone of B. That you can work your purple colors today in what you eat and what you wear and what you place in your environment. And you can also play solfeggio frequencies or frequencies that you find on YouTube that are tuned to 172.06 hertz. So every 2.5 days, the moon is shifting the harmonic that is currently expressing. So when I play that tone B, it's creating a sacred geometry for that particular tone. And that's what the moon is doing to our bodies. And that pattern that's created from sound, which is love, which is the heartbeat of ourselves and of the earth. They're the same. That cymatic pattern is actually creating pathways, like you see in this flower of life, for light and sound, for light to travel through and illuminate. And then that's a template for life. And so that experienced reality, when these blueprints are perfected, We then enter archetypal reality, where we are moving from the small I of the ego I into the bigger I, which is the mind of God, or the all-seeing I, the third eye, the crystallization of the pineal gland. So that's really what we are up to here. So whenever you see sacred geometry, you can know that that's created from sound. You can know that that is the movie screen or the template for life. And everything in existence has a heart, has a spirit, and therefore has its own unique geometry, like snowflakes. Every single one is different, even though they have universal guiding principles behind them. But just like your astrological chart is your unique cymatic blueprint. So really the most powerful thing that I taught last time was about the sacred geometry of the mind and the heart. We have the flower of life, also called the flower of magnetism. So if we ever want to create more magnetism in our life, we can work with geometry, because that's where energy is flowing through. And we talked about how there's sort of this consciousness that's distorted in the spiritual community about the flower of life and the eternal lotus being one being false and one being true. And one of them really, in fact, they're the same symbol. One represents form and one represents formless. The formless is the heart, which is the sound. The form is the light, which is the head. So the flower of life represents the mind of God. The eternal lotus represents the heart of the goddess. And so together, those two geometries actually come together. It really they start as triangles, and then they start to spin, and you get the two differing geometries, because they're both going to spin at a slightly different rate. When they come together, this is a geometric overlay of the eternal lotus with the flower of life. This is a sacred geometrical representation of Christ consciousness. So just take that in, because it took me, I saw this, I discovered this information. I could not find this geometry anywhere. I was shown that I needed to do work on myself and on the land to merge the geometries. And about 13 moons later, this showed up in my field to show me exactly what it looked like. And this was created by a physicist with 4 PhDs who specialized in this. And he didn't actually even know that it was marriage of mind and heart, but he had all this math about how this is the exact blueprint of the Christ consciousness. And I said, I could have told you that, because those are the merging of the two. So you're going to see a lot of information out there that gets really complex. And I think that's something that we do in our mind. We create all of these lacy details, but what we really need to understand is that it's really just two things coming together all the time that's creating all of this detail. So we need to actually get back to the simplification of things. But I do want you to understand the singularity concept. So that's where we are now. So we talked about how when those two triangles come together, it forms two interpenetrating spirals, one from above, one from below, one the masculine, one the feminine. And when they merge and interpenetrate, like these two triangles here, they spin, and it creates this tube torus, which is the electromagnetic field that surrounds every single cymatic blueprint, every cell, every atom, every mineral, every human being, every star, every piece of matter in the universe has the same tube torus. And that's because it's the heart. So another thing you hear about, the feminine, like the Magdalene, right? She's one emanation or archetype. The word archetype and architecture also start with the same 4-letter word, arc. It's a pathway. It's a doorway. What did we say this is? These are all pathways, right? So even the Magdalene is called the great tree. So the torus, when we talk about the tree of life, we're really talking about the torus here. So what I wanted to do I don't know if we have the time that I wanted to do this today was actually to go through and give you a very direct experience of your own personal Taurus. And so there's a reason why, because I can tell you about this geometry all day, but if you do not have a lived experience of what it is to sit inside of your own tube Taurus and know how it feels and how to create and connect with your tube Taurus, it doesn't really matter. So maybe what we'll do at the end is come back to this. I want to try to get through the material today, but we'll try to come back to it. But this is what the Earth looks like right now. There's a ton of images coming out from NASA right now because of all the solar storms that we have had. Basically, the toroidal field of the Earth is now filled with all of this rainbow stardust that has emanated from the sun and is literally wrapping our planet in rainbow light right now. And that is impacting the planetary grid. And right now we are in a very, very, very potent window for the evolution of human consciousness and the activation of the rainbow body. So I'm going to kind of go out on a limb today and actually tell you guys exactly what's happening with our planet, with a little bit of knowledge of sacred geometry.
You know
Dream?
what we can do, Lindsay?
Yeah.
Another day we can have you walk us in the meditation so we can actually get that work in, because there is nothing else but the work. You feel me? But the information that you're bringing is solid and correct. You know what I'm saying? Because once we absorb this, then we can apply it that next go around, like
Yeah.
sometime this week or whatever.
Yeah. I'd
Then
love
we
to.
Right, and then we will be able to actually have some kind of understanding of it all. Yep.
Yeah, and I can take you guys really deep through it. So we weave all these pieces together in an experience for you, so you really can do this and start going to the gym every day, so to speak, with your Taurus. Um, so we'll do
So
that another time.
are you taking questions right now, Lindsay?
Yeah, I can take some questions. Sure. I want
Okay,
to go slow, so let's take questions. Absolutely.
go ahead, Ike.
I just had a question. There's a book called Psychonaut something. I can't remember the full title, but basically they say that like by visualizing triangles, it brings a lot of knowledge and wisdom. But do you happen to know why that is?
I do, and we're going to talk about it. I got some slides in here for
Okay.
it. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
really big thing. Uh-huh.
Because I've always been hearing about sacred geometry. I just want to know how to more apply it in my
So
everyday life.
this is the very next slide. You are so right on with your question. So the triangle represents the three angles of consciousness. The word angle, when those three angles of consciousness are formed as a triangle, that is when the triangle can then spin. If it's just a line, if it's masculine and feminine at one side of the line and the other, that's just a line. It's flat. It can't spin. Once you get that third angle of consciousness, it then becomes a three-dimensional thing and it can move. So it's really, you have to have the three angles. And so from an archetypal standpoint, when we are talking about how then that first triangle then forms the feminine archetype, let's say, right? Those feminine archetypes, each one, they really fall into 13 categories. Every goddess across every culture, tradition usually falls into one of 13 different categories. And that's what we're going to talk about today as well, is what are those categories a little bit, and what are the geometries associated with them. It's going to be a whole longer series to go into each one. But as we look at each one of those facets or faces of the goddess, also faces of the moon, we are looking at different aspects, different pieces of wisdom, power, and love. That's what the three angles of consciousness are of any individual archetype. And so to activate any triangle, I would say, or any geometry at all, whether it's a triangle or whether it's a Sri Yantra here, which is probably the most powerful compilation of triangles in the universe. Each of these it's activated through light, which is the masculine, sound, which is the feminine, and the pattern that's created when the two of them come together. And so that is mudra.
This is real hip hop.
Sorry?
Go ahead, Lindsay. That was an
Okay.
accident.
Okay, no worries. So the mudra is what we do with our hands. Like this is a mudra for a triangle. Okay, so light is pushing, like my ability, light is like solid, right? It's what we can see with our eyes, that's the mind, right? So this is the mudra. And the measure is it's also like the measure. So it's a symbol itself. And then you have the mantra, which is the sound, which is the movement. So if you just have a symbol in your environment on your wall, but there is no sound and you are not speaking energy into it or aligning your voice with that geometry, it's really just a dead magnet, to be totally honest. If you really want to activate that geometry, you need to speak sound with it. And then, so the mudra is like the movement, and then the sound is like the sound that goes with it. And then the yantra is the actual sacred geometry of the two together.
That's absolutely fire, Lindsay, because I just decoded. Well, I haven't put it down yet, but I got channeled what severance is about. And everything you're saying is absolutely in alignment with my channel that I had the other day when I finally finished season 1 of Severance. And I was like, oh, so then now you're bringing this into the fold, is actually making more and more clearer sense for me to step into that mission to actually deliver the message clear as day. So you're saying the masculine is the mudra and then the feminine is the sound.
Yes.
And when you add both of them together, that's when it's activated. But if you take one out, either one,
half the equation.
right, you still just have, it's just like a piece of paper or on the thing. So for instance, if we're carrying around a Pacific symbol, right, without any sound, it's no go.
Correct. For the most, yeah, I would say that. I mean, I feel like it does have some limited magnetism,
Mm-hmm.
but I would not say that it's fully empowered.
Right.
It's more like seeding the energy in your consciousness when you look at it, so that eventually you will be guided in some way, perhaps to the sound,
right,
bring it online.
mm-hmm.
That could take, 20 years, right?
Yeah, before you
right?
wake up and say, "Oh shoot, yeah."
So
So
that's why
now
we
that's
need to know
mhm,
what the sounds are that go with the geometries, and realize that the sounds are actually producing the geometries, because really everything is one. We're talking about form and formless. So it's all one, right? They're
right.
really form and formless are the same symbol. They're just flipped upside down, right? So even as we talk about these, we can just keep flipping it up and down to realize that we're talking about all the same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you really have to have the light and the sound to bring form and formless together. And that's where creation comes from. So, and that's where magnetism comes from, because without the sound, there's no movement. And if that thing is not moving, it is not spinning. And if it is not spinning, it is not emitting radial waves outward, like a drop in the ocean. When you drop something in, it pushes those circles out, and that's expansion. And that's
Mm-hmm.
creating magnetism to draw then in whatever is being dropped in, right? But you have to have both. Does
So
this make
let me give you an example. So now I got this inanimate object as a symbol, as a masculine piece of work, right? Bing bong. And this is not doing absolutely nothing, just sitting around me. You feel me?
pretty
I mean,
much
just like you said, it might give me a little bit of confidence,
good vibes,
whatever.
whatever?
Right.
Yeah.
But until I turn and talk to this motherfucker and speak some words to him to bring forth a certain level of vibration and vibes, meaning bonding, communication, that's when the feminine comes online. And then the thing is starting to psychoactively spin.
And there's one missing piece here is that you can't
Hmm.
just speak any words to it. You can once it's been activated, but
Hmm.
you have to speak words that are resonant, that are a
Mm,
vibrational match
mm,
to that.
mm,
Because if they are not, if you are trying to activate water by speaking the language of fire, it's a dissonance. So it's not
that's
going to
why.
activate, right?
Hmm.
So you have to know what geometry you're using, what mantra goes with it, what frequency is associated with it,
Hmm.
what color is associated with it.
Hmm.
What is the usually it's helpful to know these are all two-dimensional geometries here, but they're producing a three-dimensional structure because we live in a holographic universe and that's how sacred geometry works. So it's helpful to know what the two-dimensional geometry is producing in 3D because that's what's actually going to be created.
Mm.
Uh, so
Right.
it's all held together by resonance.
Hmm.
So if the moon is pulsating 172.06 and it's pulsating the crown chakra today and I play the root chakra,
Right.
am
Right.
I going
Right.
to be in resonance with the earth?
Hmm.
No. I might be in resonance with myself, what I want, my blueprint, but I'm not plugged into the greater power source.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
So if I'm
so
talking to my tree,
mhm.
I need to be talking about some earthly things,
Yes,
essentially
yeah, absolutely.
earthly needs.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about the earth today too, in particular. And I'm going to give you the geometry of the earth.
I've been accidentally doing this stuff. I say that's good. That's good, Lindsay. I love it. Keep it going.
Yes, we got lots to cruise through. So I'm going to keep moving. So we talked about these Merkabas come together. The tree of life is formed. At the center, there's this hexagonal structure, which is really inside this hexagonal structure is where the Merkaba sits, because this is a hexagon. If you were to surround it by that, it's working that way. But yeah, it's all about it creates the electromagnetic. I'm going to cruise through this so I can get to the new material, but this is the electromagnetic field of the heart. This is what it looks like. It also is cells dividing, right? You can see all of that in here. This is what your body looks like on Taurus. Your rainbow, as your Merkaba starts to spin, it starts to illuminate the chakras within you. And that's where the earth is doing it because the earth is a big Taurus. So if we align our personal Taurus with the earth's Taurus, then as the earth is pulsating, it's like today it's pulsating purple, right? So it's pulsating crown. That's where we can activate our Taurus. And then we just it's like jumping on a big cosmic surfboard, right? We enter a bigger story of what's happening and we really transcend. And then as our rainbow body gets activated, to be honest, we become part of nature. And that's what this was really reflecting is what do the chakras correlate to in nature? So this is a really deep graphic to actually look at and absorb. So this is how we become Mother Nature, right? And it's really important to remember that why do we want to do that? Because the heart, as the original brain of the human body, is 5,000 times magnetically stronger than the brain. We can create everything from our hearts. Our heart knows where, our heart is the earth, so it knows where it wants our body. It knows where it wants our voice. It knows what circumstances for us to be in. We can just surrender our lives really and just ride the wave of our existence. We don't have to control everything. We can just let go and trust. None of us think that we can let go and trust because we are working right now with the 12 system, which we talked about in the very first part. It creates this wobble in our Taurus. So we have kind of we're not in resonance with the greater body. So we have all these it's like the fall of the human all the time. We're tripping over ourselves, right? We feel like we have to control our world because if we let go, we're going to fall and everything's going to fall apart. And that's where fear comes from, all that, right? So we can trust life when we're actually plugged in. And what's this doing to us? It's when we activate our chakras, it's activating the spiral, the movement and measure, the spiral being the movement, the measure being the ladder. And that's as it starts to spin, we get literal wings, our angel wings, our triangel, right? We levitate up. We levitate up above out of the density of what I'm going to just call the fall, right? The holes that we have. So as we activate our dormant DNA, we have more solid rungs on our ladder. Also, it's another way to think about it. But this is talked about in all ancient myth across cultures is the rainbow body. And the Mayans call it the plumed serpent. And actually, we're going to talk about this today, but America, the United States, the Americas as a whole is called Land of the Plumed Serpent. And so this activation right now is happening with this rainbow toroidal field that's wrapping around the earth. There are some sacred geometrical pathways in our land that is anchoring this rainbow toroidal construction for us. And its epicenter is right here in the US right now. Like, we need to know that because it looks really ugly out there, like a photo negative. It's very dark and bleak. But when you understand the light that is creating it, again, you can levitate up and transcend out of the appearance of things. Because if everything is light and sound, and we only prioritize light, what we can see, but we don't even acknowledge the sound, the unseen, like we can't even see the picture. So we have to be able to see the picture. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the picture today.
And
Again,
that's what I was telling you, Lindsay, like everything be timing because like this build right now, I just had that channel with that show Severance. And I said, wait, they're not even experiencing their outies, which is basically the feminine. And then the innie or whatever, which I think I got it backwards. The innies. You seen the show Severance?
I have not.
Oh shit. Okay, let me not
I
even.
don't watch TV hardly ever. So
But I have received that and I said, yeah, I'm gonna do that soon. And now it's just starting to all make sense, especially with us putting a whole map together. So yeah, let's fly.
yeah, so this is basically showing what happens when light and sound come together. We talk about the chromatic scale, right? The chromatic scale, chromo is color, it's also sound. So there's an amazing physicist, Walter Russell, and he mapped the 9-octave universal harp that is creating everything. This is basically what it looks like. And this is actually the diagram of the 9-octave harp. And so it's basically, he took the periodic table of elements and broke it down by octave. Each octave of 7 tones is complete with the 8th, right? And then it moves to a higher dimension, right? And so all of the elements can be organized by octave. here's another look at it. So look up Walter Russell if you really want to geek out on like math and stuff. But basically, it's light is reflected in the sound octave, and the same is true for our bodies, which is made up of elements. Our material bodies are all elements that are vibrating according to this. And so we can activate all of that, obviously, with our chakras, which each one has its own cymatic blueprint, as you can see on the left. And it's the tones on the right that are producing the sacred geometry on the left. So we can create these geometries within ourselves in greater resonance with the earth and the moon and the universe. And why do we do it with the moon? Because if we're talking about the universe, that's cosmos, that's planets, right? That's celestial bodies. Well, when we're talking about accessing celestial bodies down here on Earth, the very first celestial body that is our bridge is the moon. And it's lunating around the Earth, and it's pulling in the electromagnetic frequencies and cymatic blueprints of the planet and then pulsing those out to us. So that's why we want to align with the moon. Okay, so then also, as these chakras are getting activated, it's our personal tree of life. So this is the Kabbalah tree of life correlated to the chakras. Again, we're right up here today. I just want you guys to see that. We're at this, like the highest octave here of the human body in our material existence. And the sun and the moon are married today in Pisces, which is the sign of the Christ consciousness in the 12 zodiac system. I really want to call that out so we know where we're talking from here. This is like the highest level of understanding you could possibly have about creation that I'm bringing to you today. So this is what the plumed serpent actually looks like. Your chakras are all flowers. They all have different numbers of petals, and that's the geometries. And when they are all activated, you see here the black and white snakes merging at each one. And those two sets of wings are also the right and left hemisphere of the brain. So they come together at the third eye, and the two hemispheres harmonize, and then we're one with our heart, and that's our wings. That gives us those angel wings. But this is literally what you look like. And the figure is black because the center of the torus is empty. It's the void, the womb of creation. So this is like a really powerful image. This is from the 13 Moon Mystery School. It was produced for this 13 Moon Oracle Lunar Calendar, which I really recommend everyone purchase if you have the ability to do so. This image is in there. So this is how we map to the moon. Again, I use the Sangaya sound system. The Sangaya sound system is harp music. So if we want to match the universal harp, we can use the harps that we have down here to do it. So when we do the visualization next time, I will be playing the harp frequencies for whatever placement the moon is in at that time. So today I would be over here with Pisces B. All right. Also, we got to talk about the Ankh, because this tree of life, this rainbow body overlays onto the Ankh, which is the womb of creation. The Ankh is also a power source leveraged in Tesla technology. This is how we generate free energy. I want to show you how the Ankh works. The staff is the 7 chakras, the 7 stars. It's also the 7 demons, or the 7 shadows of every wheel of light. When they are all illuminated, you have unity consciousness, yin and yang coming together, and that yin and yang is sun and moon. And when that happens, you then enter this womb of creation that is the perfected cymatic blueprint of the turtle, which has 13 scales. Scales as in musical scale, as in color scale, chromatic scale. This is how we access heaven on earth, is through the Ankh, but we have to understand what it's really going. This is an overlay of many different elements that are represented by the Ankh. The turtle is really important because we've talked about how in the void of creation, right, that's where sound then emits and it creates these cymatic blueprints for light to travel through, which then illuminates the scales. And there's 13 of them in nature, in perfected nature. And that's why the moon lunates around the earth 13 times. So when the earth is lunating around the moon 13 times, you could argue that it's creating this perfected geometry of the turtle, which is how we're supposed to be. The turtle is considered the great mother of all creation, the great mother of the water. The United States of America is also called Turtle Island. And there's a lot I could say about that, but you can go research it. But in Native traditions, that's the name of our land. So this is our divine destiny, is to anchor the perfected 13 scale geometry of nature, Mother Nature. This is also where Atlantis and Lemuria meet, Atlantis being the masculine continent and Lemuria being the feminine, and Lemuria being the original point of creation on Earth. So another name for America is Amaruka, and this is in Quechua. You can learn about the serpent Amaru, which Tupac is also connected to, for those of you interested in living archetypes. This is also the Mayan Quetzalcoatl. And you can see it's the plumed serpent here, which we've been talking about, and the physics of it. But it comes from the land of the Holy Cross. So I'm going to show you how that geometry is showing up on our land right now. So this is the Hebrew Aleph. It's also the letter A, the new beginning. Also the first letter of America, right? X marks the spot, the treasure in the chest, the point of the cross of unity consciousness. It was created, these are the pathways. So we've talked about how the universe is laying down cymatic pathways. So this is a cymatic pathway that was completed in April of last year, April 8th. It started in 2017. So this pathway got activated almost a year ago exactly. And I'm finding with these larger collective things, it takes about 13 moons for them to begin to show up then in the physical. So some of the changes that we're experiencing now are the product of these energy pathways that were laid down about a year ago. And if you look at this pattern of these eclipses and you look at Serpent Mound, I'm sorry, I don't have a whole slide on Serpent Mound, but it's the only place on Earth an asteroid has hit a fault line, and it's the largest animal effigy in the world. And it's, I wish I had more time to put the slides in here. It's also representative of the constellation Ophiuchus, which is the serpent bearer. It's the missing 13th constellation that is the unifier of the 12 in the zodiac system. It's been left out of the zodiac wheel, perhaps for good reason, actually, because it's when we work with the zodiac as a holistic system that the frequencies of Ophiuchus the 13 come out. And I would say when I was talking with Annie Williams, the creator, the harpist creator, who's my mentor and teacher, she was saying to me that she felt like it would probably be like a B flat. So maybe just one rung above Pisces possibly, but it really is situated between Sagittarius and Scorpio if it were to be part of the zodiac ecliptic, but it's really more about the unifying of all of them. So this would, Ophiuchus and the serpent bearer is really about if you look at the geometry of it, and I meant to have slides on this, it shows as the Merkaba in completion. So actually, when we go back and look at this one, this ether, that's the geometry for Ophiuchus as well. And Ophiuchus is also the center point of the Mayan Baktun, which is the whole thing. It's the center of the Milky Way galaxy.
Ophiuchus would fall in what month or what
It,
time if it
it
was?
it's between Sagittarius and Scorpio. I have to check the exact dates. We can actually review this next
Anybody
time,
know
and I
that?
can give you some more details on it.
So,
But it's
okay.
early December.
Okay. Something like, okay.
Yeah.
So early December.
It's late November, early December, but in the wheel, it's situated between Sag and Scorpio.
Okay, so those people are the chosen ones.
So my moon is Ophiuchus.
Oh shit. Okay,
So
talk
this
that
was like
shit.
why my astrology chart. This triangle is also called a yod, and it works like a bow and arrow. And we're going to talk about the bow and arrow today as it relates to the archetype of Our Lady of Communion, which is the archetype of Earth and the sacred geometry of Earth. She has a bow and arrow. And it's also, and this was a channel for me before I even knew about the harp music. I just saw this path and I said it's working like a bow and arrow, which is also called a yod, which is a finger of destiny. And I had one of those in my chart. And the key for me to unlocking my missing frequencies was that I had to play all 12 of the frequencies together like a single musical instrument. And when I did, that's when I found out about my moon being Ophiuchus, and that all of these splits that I personally have in my astrology chart is basically a reflection because of the hologram, right? It's a reflection of I have this split in my moon between Sagittarius and Scorpio, which when I found out it was Ophiuchus, then it like healed all the splits in my consciousness, but it was all about a yod firing this bow and arrow, which is also a harp. So, the energy is kind of moving. It's like shooting up. If you imagine that bowstring down by Louisiana, New Orleans, which is where I did a rebirth ritual, which activated all of this for me. And it shoots up towards where I am here in the US. That's kind of the pathway of energy that's moving across the land right now. And it's activating our rainbow body. But so that's what I just want you guys to know. There's also like new crystalline consciousness in the water, that the rainbow stardust that's encircling the earth is activating, and then we're drinking that. There's so much going into this, but I just want you to see that there's sacred geometry pathways in the land that are creating this rainbow body for us. We can choose to build our resonance with what's happening to us organically or not. And this is why I feel like it's very important that every single person map to the moon and begin to really get in sync with natural time and aligning the chakras and the pattern of the earth so that we can build resonance with what's happening already, which is this pulsation of energy from this bow and arrow action moving through our country. Okay, so going back to the flower of life and the tree of life, within the tree of life, within the Ankh, right? Within the Ankh here, you have all the planets, and these also all correlate to platonic solids, which each one is correspondent to a different element. And you can see here that as our rainbow body is activating, it's also activating these different geometries within us as well. And these correlate to the chakras, they correlate to elements. So we could go in and do detail on all of these platonic solids, but I want to actually give you a little taste of these geometries and a very short experience with them. We've already talked about how it's the two-dimensional geometry that's creating the three-dimensional, and you can see the three-dimensional are the platonic solids. So they're the holographic three-dimensional versions. But what is a hologram? Basically, it's blinking on, it's a projection here of light. We talked about the movie projector. It's blinking on every 1/14th of a second. I believe this is Walter Russell physics, but it's coming through my source in the 13 Moon Mystery School. And so it's really about projecting coherent light source, which is mind and heart aligned, right? All one, projecting that onto a mirror. It makes a three-dimensional mirror. And so this is how the Maya could actually see our reality. They could see holographically. They could see 5 dimensions. So as our rainbow body gets activated, that's what we're cultivating. Probably the Maya built Serpent Mount, okay, to bring this information back online at this time. And we are in the year of the serpent. So that's why I'm bringing up this monolith, because if I were to do this talk next year, I don't know how relevant it would be. So we're just in a really powerful window with that. Yeah, so we want to enter the hologram, and the way that we do that is by becoming coherent, this mind and heart coherence. Here's what 2D geometries look like. There's a ton of them. They are like snowflakes. There's an infinite number. A lot of people then will use 2D geometries in their space and crystal grids. These are some of what they look like, and they all project to 3D. And here's more of them. And they also, like the planets, have their own rotational pathways that look like flowers, like Venus. The Venus path actually looks like a flower. I should show you guys that maybe next time. But I want to talk about our pineal gland, which is the crystallization of our mind, which is when we come into coherence with this. So at the base of everything, we talked about how there's 7 notes, so to speak, or 7 cells that when they come together, it forms the 8th, which is the octave. And so that's really what's at the heart of the earth. And then as it penetrates the human body and it transcends and it moves up our chakras, and that fire of light from the Shakti force of the earth, that it's crystallizing. That fire then crystallizes the silica sand in our pineal glands. And in a perfected state, that crystal forms about 13 sides. So this is a 13-sided Vogel crystal that I use when I'm activating the land to represent the unity of all of the different facets into oneness. And so each of those facets then has its own cymatic blueprint. So the 13 Moon Mystery School, Ariel Spilsbury, who is the founder of the Mystery School, she's been doing this work for about 60 years. We talked about the Mind Oracle last time. She wrote the book on holographic reality. And so she has basically taken all of the archetypes and been able to categorize them into their own cymatics. And so I wanted to just, because at the very last presentation we left off, you asked about, is the earth a cube? And now we've talked about this bow and arrow, which is a part of the earth's sacred geometry with Our Lady of Communion. And so I want to actually just play very quickly about 7 minutes. Hopefully I have time. We started a little bit late. Is it cool to play this last bit? Just to drive
get it in.
home?
Yeah, get it in, definitely.
Okay, cool. So let me get out of Zoom. Give me a second here, guys. Sorry.
Absolutely fire information, Lindsay. Always bringing the heat.
Do you guys have any questions while I pull this up?
I
What
think
was the name of that crystal that you said you had?
It's called a Vogel crystal.
a Vogel crystal.
Vogel cut crystal. Yeah. Why can I not? Oh, this is killing me right now, guys. I had this all up and loaded for you.
Yeah, it's absolutely a gem that you're bringing this heat, Lindsay, for the family, so we can actually, and then next time we'll definitely get into the work, because all of this is just like you said earlier, all of this is cute until we actually apply. So just
Yeah.
us absorbing is powerful, but when we apply, and there was something I started to do heavier, like breathing is something I've been practicing for the last few months, like really, really deliberate breath work, rhythmic breath work.
Yep.
Uh, Stretching is something I've been trying to dibble and dabble in a little bit more so I can actually turn on aspects of my feminine a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
we come down here in these specific meat suits to represent a certain energy. So for me, I came down here as a man to represent a masculine type of energy, and you a female to represent a feminine type of energy. So then, are we just necessarily, here's a question for you. Are we necessarily just running to balance that whole out so we can start to spin our Merkaba?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the objective is, it's like when you drop people say you are not the drop, you are the entire ocean. So when you drop a droplet of water, it begins to make these waves. And as those waves represent the octaves of creation, right? So with every circle that
Mm-hmm.
radiates out, we're actually creating new universes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how we create universes. That's how we access different dimensions. And even when we think about dimensions, we need to think in terms of octaves. And even that 13-sided Vogel cut crystal, which is cut to the dimensions of the pyramids. And that's why it's so powerful, because of the triangle and all of the mathematics with that. But each one of those faces is a different dimension of the crystal. Right. And so that's what's happening in our brain as the silica sand becomes crystallized. We then can see all realities at once, and we can see the higher reality of love, because the earth is the heart, and the heart at its core is love. So we're developing our crystalline lens to perceive holographically the experience of the ultimate love. So let's talk about how that looks like for Earth. This is the archetype for Earth. So we're going to play about 6-7 minutes of this. Can you guys hear?
Oh, what a switch. Relief.
Yeah, we can hear it.
It's true.
Maybe if you could turn it up a little bit, Lindsay. I'm not
It
sure.
is soft. I don't know if I can.
The two-dimensional geometry is a square within a circle. They're not trying to be equal. But what they are doing is representing the fixedness of Earth. It is a representation of the fixedness of the appearance anyway of Earth. And so it's a symbol. When you draw a symbol of Earth, you'll see oftentimes a square inside of a circle. So I don't know whether it's worthy to spin that or not. Yeah, you want to? I want to see it.
So she's talking about spinning the geometry to create the holographical appearance, which you can perceive through your third eye. And you'll have an experience with that in just a moment.
So the Lady of Communion. Oh. Ooh, I'm catching that.
So you can just allow that to imprint in your third eye if you focus on the spinning, and then close your eyes and just see it. And then you'll be activating the geometry within yourself. The holographic.
Yeah, that's fire. That's fire.
Yeah, it's mobilized in your third eye, at least if you want to do it that way.
And then she's going to show you the 3D one in just a second.
Use it. Third eye. The observations of that one, two-dimensional form.
So people are saying they see the solar cross. So this is why you want to have an experience with the geometry itself, so you can perceive the wisdom from absorbing the spin.
Sorry.
But if you don't have these geometries, that's where they project in the form of the archetype, which would be, in this case, Our Lady of Communion. And she is associated with a number of different goddesses: Artemis, Diana, Flora, Rhiannon, Bast, Demeter, Epona, Durga, Aina,
When it's spinning.
Yes, when it's sitting.
Bridget, Cordelia, also Pan, the Green Man, the Oak King, Stag King, Cernua,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
that, as you're looking at that geometry, that two-dimensional geometry spinning holographically, you're connecting in with those archetypes.
Something stabilizing for someone that's really unstable. The square or the cube that is getting queued up here.
She's talking about if you feel unstable, this is a stabilizing because it's the earth, right? But this is so beautiful is because she's going to show you when you take.
Now you can see
There
that
you go.
it has measurable sides. It's a solid form, right? I mean, that is stable. And that's why it's representative of Earth. But the trick is that in the true imagination of the third eye, all you have to do is turn it onto its side and it becomes something quite other than stable.
This is Earth. This is your heart, guys.
Yeah, that's good right there. That makes sense.
Watch this. Watch
You'll
this
see
spin. It'll blow your mind.
I'll give you this. Run with it to begin with. In the mysteries, the Pleiades is associated with. Oh, I know what it's associated with 777.
The Pleiades are where the
This is
chakras
the
come from.
Thing that'll
Seven
give you
half
the best view of how to work with this geometry. Because if you can destabilize your awareness to the point where you're looking at this one here that looks like a carousel or something on the left, can you still see a square in it?
It's also a hexagon.
Still see the square? Good. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This symbol is 7. What's called the 777 or the entryway into the Pleiades. And when you turn it on the side, it makes 8. Oh, 8 points. So that is then becomes this geometry, which in forever, especially in Greek times, but it was brought into form at that time really strongly, is called the tetractys. And it's considered to be a mind map or a map to the sun Tula, the black sun Tula, which I'd love to do the chant for before we quit here today, non Tilaku. And entering into, with the true imagination, being able to turn life out of its normal perception of solidness and stability into 888, which is complete fluidity.
Fluidity. The Earth is 90%
the
water,
same
just like your body. It
But
anchors
looks
sound.
different when in your true imagination, you are
So this is how we become water.
turning either.
This is how we structure the water of ourselves.
That's fly. And then even in the when you take it to the pyramids, you know they're saying that.
Wow. Look at that, you guys.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
You see it, right? You see the
Mhm.
Merkaba, you see DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. As above, so below.
Very similar to the.
Mm.
Say again?
Yeah.
Similar to
If you soften your gaze, you'll see more and more geometry in that.
What is solid is.
And that's what's creating everything. That's you right there.
And the interesting thing is too, in the Egyptian
spinning.
Pyramids,
Third eye or wherever you want to spin it.
they're saying that underneath is the bottom half of that triangle or that Merkaba or the spinning notion. So we might be in so that whole Egyptian pyramid. So if you think about a diamond, right?
To start destabilizing your awareness.
That whole thing could be
holographically, like we were saying.
our science from the jump.
The geometry.
And if the earth is spinning, then that whole pyramid idea is
everything in the brain holographically.
it could be taken us somewhere else.
Holographically.
Yep. absolutely.
That's fly.
I'm gonna stop that. I think you guys get the idea, right? And so, yeah, I don't think I have anything more for you today. I can go really deep. Like, so I think it would be super cool because there's 13 facets, there's 13 faces, right? Just like that, they all represent different geometries or different aspects of the goddess, right? So in this way, we're now taking archetype and we're taking the story out of it a little bit and going back to how these archetypes, how these gods, goddesses are shaped by sacred geometry, and each one has a correspondent mudra, mantra, yantra. There's flowers for each, there's crystals for each, there's trees for each, there's colors, there's animal totems, there's scents, there's herbs, there's sacrament, they're associated with an element. Each one has a sacred tool, like, like for this, the earth, right? Is this, you can't see it. I guess it's the bow and arrow, right? Which we are seeing now actually physically on the earth in the form of these, this yod, right? And a yod in astrology functions like a bow and arrow. And so and the yod is really a triangle, which is the three angles of consciousness. And so that's what's creating the new earth and our collective rainbow bodies. So there's 13 facets. It's beneficial to know all the geometry so that when a goddess or somebody visits you, shows up in your awareness, you want to make a connection, you can then not just work with the story, because I'll be honest, sometimes when we work with stories, we get caught up in drama.
Mm.
You want to work with a god or goddess, work with a perfected crystalline geometrical representation of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're not drawn off track. But each of these is like medicine for our soul. So somebody that's feeling very unstable can work with earth. And each of the 13 facets, and they all correspond to the face of the moon. So I do daily energy reports where I tell you which geometry, which goddess archetype category is being played universally. So maybe you start to see those things in your environment, or if you want to build resonance, you could start to like bring in the aspects of that particular geometry, that particular goddess, right? And yeah. So what
That's
questions
good, Lindsay.
do you
That's
guys
good,
have?
Lindsay. That's great. That's powerful. That's powerful. Anybody got any questions, any thoughts of Lindsay? Absolutely amazing, Lindsay. Job again. And just to touch on what you said, what's the lady's name that you just played, Lindsay?
Yeah, she's my mentor, Ariel Spilsbury, and she's the founder of
Ariel.
the 13 Moon Mystery School, and globally it has like 22 different vocalizers, and I think I heard something crazy like initiates 100,000 priestesses a year into this information.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I kind of channeled it organically and then found that there's an entire school around it.
How you
And
spell her name? How you spell her name? No,
ARI.
her last name. Her
Oh,
last name.
Spilsbury, Spilsbury. And you guys have been like channeling her anyway, because D-Ray was like quoting her at one point before I even knew her. But D-Ray quoted her. I got the 13 Moon Oracle deck, which is one of the tools, it's a tool of these archetypes, these categories, these geometries. And one of the messages was think with your heart, feel with your mind. And that was one of Ariel's transmissions. I consider her the foremost expert in this in terms of synthesizing metaphysics with archetype, with nature. There's nothing, I mean, and again, I had already bought my Vogel cut crystal and everything and was having this awareness. And then I found her entire body of work, which was she, created over 60 years. And she and I had an immediate bond when we connected. And she's been helping me with my rainbow body activation and even navigating some of the initiations as I go through and activate it on the land, because it's a rainbow body activation for me personally when I tap into the grid and all of that. So I cannot talk about this without talking about her and her 60 years of work synthesizing the metaphysics of Walter Russell. And so I would say, I like to think of like the 13 moon, the 13 moon material is kind of the blueprint. And then you have Annie Williams, and she has the music to pair with the blueprint. And so I'm kind of the only one that I've discovered that's actually bringing the music and the blueprint together. Ariel's focus is about bringing the archetype together with the geometry, and then the work that I'm doing is layering in the harmonics and doing that through the 13 moon calendar, which is they just released the first one. So it's actually cool because it's the only 13 moon calendar in existence that starts on the first day of the dark moon, which would be today, every month. That's how nature's calendar is. So you can track like how your energy is through the different moon cycles with this. You can begin to map what colors you're going to work with on which days. And I also help people figure out, based on their cymatic blueprint with the moon when they were born, what your chakra illumination pattern is for you personally. So maybe you do like one chakra for the earth, for your alignment with the earth, but then you do one chakra that aligns you with your blueprint. So you may do like 2 chakras a day. And so then you can strategically do your chakra work that way.
Yeah, that's fly.
Yeah, and not just the chakra. And when I say chakra work, I truly mean color and sound and frequency, because this is what's really creating the pathways for the sound. If we're only working with chakras with no sound and no frequency, again, only half the equation. And with the missing sound, this is why missing frequencies are so important, right? Like we miss sound. We miss the sound. It's what's creating the pathways for the light. So if we're just projecting the light without projecting the pathway for that light, again, we can't really activate that chakra fully.
I noticed that whenever I was doing my seed sounds in the visualization, I didn't know it at the time because I thought I was just being more confident because I'm making a sound. You get what I'm saying? Like la,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And then visualizing whichever chakra I'm working with the sound.
That's a great strategy. We all
Right.
have a personal singing bowl.
And I was as I'm making the sound, putting the tongue to the roof of my mouth, I noticed that I was actually changing in my day-to-day energy, but I was thinking I was tripping myself out, thinking that, okay, this is actually working more because I'm physically making an effort to say something instead of like visualizing a light spiraling around my root chakra or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
You got to
So
do both.
yeah, so I think that is a great point that you brought up, Lindsay, because yeah, singing bowls, seed sounds, the mantras, affirmations, like C. Freeman L. He had a whole video. You got to meditate and speak out loud
Yeah.
affirmations
Meditating to
about
the
what you
light.
want.
It's the visualizing and it's bringing the light into the mind, right? But then, yes, um, if you use sound, it will perfect what comes through in your meditation as
Right.
well, because the sound is actually creating the pathways for light. So I always think of creation as like, okay, you have thought and emotion, and it's the marriage of thought and emotion, that expression, that's the horizontal axis, right? But so I always thought, well, it starts with the thought, right? Well, here's the thing. The brain is created from the heart. So in order to have a thought, you have to love the idea of even being able to think. And that's why the universe is feminine. And so as we learn these codes of the feminine, we are truly unlocking the power of the universe, right? So, and that was a big breakthrough very recently, is like, because everyone always thinks, oh, God comes first and then the goddess.
Mhm.
It's like, well, that's how our patriarchy runs. Mind first, heart later, right? But it's the heart that actually gives the electromagnetic impulses to create the brain, and the brain then can think, right? But that original thinking comes from the love of being able to think. So same thing with your visualization. That's bringing the light in the mind. That's activating the thinking aspect, right? It's filling the head with light. But then
Mhm.
you have to get the sound is what's actually projecting the accurate picture.
Right.
So that's why, these geometries all have correspondent frequencies, and there's a million, like I use a wave generator, I use a tuning fork, I use my own voice, I use
Mhm.
this tone flute. Like I like to use them all because I know
Mhm.
it's like I'm weaving my reality that way, and I'm weaving every perfected possible thing in the form of wave and sound that I can, and then
Mhm.
matching it to geometries. It's foolproof.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I can't fuck it up that way. But not everybody has dedicated their life to this. So not everybody's
Mhm.
gonna go out buy tuning forks. Anyone can just go on YouTube and get the right frequency. This tone flute is like $5 on Amazon. And even if I can't sing, I'm still playing it. And I'm reverberating, I'm creating that wave with my breath into
Mhm.
my environment also, because now my breath is then the water of my breath has been structured to that harmonic, and it's now magnetic all around me, baby. Like, and then I have a waveform generator that takes that and maps it with the frequency, and I feel like that's the container for the harmonic. So I'm just in this bubble of
Mhm.
of perfected geometry, and
Yeah.
I'm creating it within my body.
That's
So
good, Lindsay. That's good. I did this video, whatever, 11 months ago, and C. Freemanell was dropping on that science back in the day, and I started applying it. But like you bringing it around to actually make it make sense or put it into a three-dimensional form is absolutely powerful. You know what I've been thinking about too, because I've been seeing this in the culture, if you will. 50 Cent. I've been seeing him, 50 Cent, Cameron, and who else been in that space? Well, just really 50 Cent and Cameron. They have this kind of bully ball energy, this toxic masculinity thing that's happening. And I don't know if it's a New York thing or what. I'm just they just in a whole different space right now where if anybody puts them in a space of they don't really understand different aspects of just being able to not not take things personal, but actually to feel somebody else's struggles. Like for instance, 50 Cent and Big Meech, right? He could have just put himself in Big Meech's shoes and felt his pain instead of just destroying the whole whatever, right? His whole thing based off of him being an alignment with another dude. So then his toxic sound coming out with that toxic masculinity is like a overzealous masculine thing that we're seeing heavy in our world, right? Even though 50 is a smart dude, and trust me, I read his books and stuff like that. There's something to it, this toxic masculinity that I'm gonna dive deeper into the fold with, because it's like as we're coming into a more matriarchal energy, it's like the male ego and bravado is getting stronger and stronger to show force. You feel me? And be like this macho type of thing. So
yep.
I thought that was kind of interesting and
That's wings up here instead of wings down here, right? Like
mhm,
that's that plume serpent is like, and that's how the patriarchy is like up here, right? But our
mhm,
our wings have to drop down. We have to drop the light of the mind down into the heart. And so yes, the masculine and all of the systems of the patriarchy associated with it, absolutely there's a resistance,
Because
right?
that love thing
Because
is
it's the fall. And like it's
right.
literally like
Mm-hmm.
it's gotta fall and drop down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very one of the archetypes and geometries is the creator destroyer energy, right? And that's a
Mm-hmm.
very powerful energy. It's death and rebirth, right? But
Mm-hmm.
there's a death that's simultaneously comes with the rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm seeing a lot. I've had to deal with a lot of themes in terms of my encounters and even in my ancestral patterns of narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and why is that? Because that's representative of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
This the head completely cut off from the heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some of the work that I've been doing to clear my own lineage with family members and it really comes from a dismemberment. We have to realize that that's why what we're talking about is about a remembrance.
Mm-hmm.
Remembering, bringing all 13 of these facets together in one. So it forms one tree of life, one Taurus,
Mm-hmm.
the point of singularity. But that requires the remembrance. This is like our head. So the nervous system of our heart, it has all these branch-like structures. We have nerves. It goes out to all of our five senses.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the intelligence of the body. But
Mm-hmm.
our head is totally cut off, even in our
Mm-hmm.
biology, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we have to remember, we have to unite these two things.
Yes, I say yes. Yes, that's good. No, that's good, Lindsay. That's power. Yeah, so that you're right. Like that toxic masculinity is a trap in, society today. And, I think I'm gonna do something on that because essentially, because I used to be in that space of that bravado, real strong, like fuck a nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like this whole fight, fight, fight kind of energy. But until you kind of let go and surrender to it, and surrender to the love with yourself, then you can't actually experience the love for others, which is just a reflection of you. So
Well,
then, yeah, you're right. Dropping down to that heart is beautiful.
and we think love is attachment too. And that's also creation of up here.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of finite details. That's why I really like working with the geometries, because when you work with the geometries, the thought forms that are out of distortion will naturally be brought into your awareness, and
Hmm.
you'll be able to correct those micro distortions. Um, and that was a big one for me, was like I started to experience profound amounts of universal love, like the greatest love I've ever felt, ever known, like I have felt when I was with a lover, only
Hmm.
it was more of like, it was myself, it was with my
Hmm.
mentors, it
Hmm.
was, all of
Yeah.
these people, and it had, you fall in love with life, and it becomes this experience of alchemical ecstasy, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, the toxic masculinity to me is just that this is a circuitry thing. This is an
Mhm.
electrical circuit. We just have to plug it in.
Plug it in.
It's
Yep.
literally, we just gotta plug it in. We plug it in, and all the little crackles that are not wired correctly will blow up, and the circuitry will become refined and crisp, and it all, there is a lot of quote unquote shadow, right? That we encounter naturally, but we don't have to go find it. We don't have to seek it out. We don't have to psychoanalyze it.
Mhm.
We can watch it surface with the lunations of the moon organically, and we can watch what surfaces, and we can write it down, and we can burn it up at the full moon. We can seed it at the new moon, and it just, all of that unwinding can be an organic process of nature. And I just learned this really big time because I had done all this alchemy of my voice, my expression, and
Mhm.
um, really feeling like I had shut my voice down. I realized I froze on stage when I was a kid, and so then I did all this alchemy with Ariel back in like October. And it was like bringing my voice back. And I have recently had a lot of experience where I've been overexpressing so many details that people can't feel my heart when I talk. And even though it's all aligned, cosmic, beautiful illumination information, I'm crystallized up here, but then I got to drop that crystal down so you can feel the heart. And so that for me, and I was like, it was ice, right? It was frozen consciousness because like music is frozen architecture, right? And so I literally had to go to Alaska in order for this to resolve. And that's when my parents went off to the hospital and like everybody got sick. I left the state. I was doing alchemy on the land, and it was like, oh, I had to literally go to the ice where I froze, like I froze on stage, come full circle to that point of creation in order for the thawing to happen so this could drop into here. That was a divine timing thing. I can't force that shit. The universe, I had to just align myself with that wave for it to clear and ride it to where I was going. I could not orchestrate that.
Yeah.
The trip to Alaska where I had all this happen was gifted to me a year ago in May. Like this was divinely ordained for that clearing to happen in a divine time that lined up perfectly with the astrology and the yod and all this stuff. So, we can definitely go after these things from the mind perspective, but the real power is when we take that process and we align it with nature and her cycles so that she can do some of the work for us too.
Ashe. Yes, yes, Lindsay. Powerful bill, powerful bill. Anybody got any questions, any thoughts? What y'all got, baby? Tell me something good. Tell me something good. Fire build again. Yeah, and Lindsay, that's what I'm saying. Watch that. Try to watch that show, Severance. It's kind of slow, but I believe that we've been trapped into a left brain prisoner situation that's happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the same thing. This and
Right.
this mirror each other.
And the
100%.
jobs
Like
are
a one-way
essentially, right.
mirror.
Yeah, it's like that. Exactly. And the jobs are essentially, or just working a job. Not saying this is some bullshit or whatever, but you got to do what you got to do to survive down here. But it's taking us away from a part of us that keeps us asleep and suppressing a certain level of feminine or creative energy that we, put to sleep essentially. So I'm gonna do something on Severance. Y'all watch the show Severance because essentially that's what it is. It's that's a whole masculine life that people are living, and they're not being able to conjoin both. So they're just driven on logic, reasoning, and this whole thing. Not until you take a day off or two from your job, then you start to wake up and say, "Wait a minute, I really love to paint." You feel me? I really love to express myself in this way, which is sound, which is expressing yourself with a paintbrush or whatever. You feel me?
Yep. Yep.
Go ahead, Ike. Tell me something.
Oh, I was gonna ask, do y'all experience sometimes like inertia when it comes to chanting out loud, like as opposed to in your head? Like there's times where I don't feel like verbally chanting. Like I have a lot of inertia. I don't know if it's laziness or what, or if I just need to work on my throat chakra
The
more.
dismemberment.
Like this,
Right? Yeah.
uh,
Yes. So the answer is, and I'm the perfect person to talk about this because I come on here and I teach, and that was part of me unblocking my throat chakra because I could not speak. I even studied this, right? Like I went and my instruction was to start toning every day. I didn't want to do it. Um, and then I started just playing the music in my environment. That's how I started. Well, then shit started happening because it was already structuring the water of my body. And I was like, wait, I understand how this is working now. Holy F. it's really important for me to express and get those vibrations going in my body, and only I can create that, and that's my heart online.
Mm-hmm.
So I started by just playing the music, and that led to a little bit of toning, and then toning led to speaking, and speaking led to teaching. And now when I was in Alaska, I had this experience of, actually, I went to go to dinner and they'd replaced our table that we'd been sitting at with a karaoke thing. And I was asked to sing, and I said no. And then like somebody grabbed me, forced me to sing. And I ended up singing in front of this room of 30 people. And I realized, oh shit, when I froze on stage and when I shut my expression down, I stopped singing because I sang the wrong words as a child. So I
Mm-hmm.
healed that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I would say for men in particular, but really anyone, I'm a very, I had a lot of masculine energy, a lot of mind dominant intellectual training, all that, right? So for me, like singing and using my voice was like
Facts.
critical to healing. That's how I got access to all this music, was by healing my voice, healing my
Yep.
throat chakra. And
That's
that's what
dope, bro.
Pisces, like in our bodies, the marriage of head and heart, sun, moon, throat, horizontal axis of expression, that's Christ consciousness.
You
You
should see
can't
me in the
create
car
Christ
singing.
consciousness without your throat.
Dream wise in the car singing. I look like a guy. If somebody just turned their head and looked, they'll be like, "This motherfucker gone." I'll be in that bit, whatever song is going on, and then that's what I was saying. Like screaming is a good thing too. So whenever you can scream that stuff out, it's important.
Yes, absolutely. And I realized that too. Like, one of the instructions I got for manifestation was, you're scripting your life, write it down, write it in red pen, bring in firepower. Well, I
Mm,
realized, so yes, I was doing all of that, but then I was like, now I have to read and actually speak what I'm writing. And then I would actually
ooh,
speak
yeah.
it into the candle,
Hmm.
speak it into the water, drink the
Yes.
water, like
Hmm.
I gotta structure that water.
Hmm.
Everything is 90% water. Sound travels faster in water than light does.
Hold on, let me show y'all this. This is so synchronicity. My son is doing a science project. And his science project is when we got him doing the Emoto science project
Yeah,
where he
Masaru
speaks to
Emoto, hidden messages
yeah,
of
where he speaks to either the rice and the love or the right he's speaking to both of them with hate, one with hate and one with love. And we got him doing that now. And the crate, and niggas is. I know I can't wait to hear what the teachers say about that. He said, "Do a science project." I said, "All right, man, watch this." So now he's speaking to these things by himself. Well, not by himself. We might be right there, but whatever. And he's expressing something to that rice to see if it permeates into a crystalline, like you were saying with the love, or
Yep.
then permeates into, you know, toxic whatever into the thing. So yeah, you're right on point. Our body is 90% water.
Yeah, and sound is emotion, sound is love, sound is the heartbeat. And again, you can talk to, I mean, to be honest, crystals are mostly water, so you can technically talk to the crystal and activate the water, but to be honest, crystals anchor light. That's why they're colors, right? So we want to work with light and sound. And I said it in the first part, is in the beginning was the word. It was the reverberation of the word, and the first words were, let there be light. It was
Yes.
the sound of the word that even allowed for light to exist. It was the love of thinking that allowed us to even be able to think.
Mhm.
So it's we say the universe is mental. That's the expression of the universe, but the universe, that mentalism, was actually created from love,
Hmm.
which is sound. And that's why everything is 90% water, because every sound is creating everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Fire, fire, Lindsay. Fire, fire, information, fire, build. Absolutely amazing. And I'm excited about our neck when we apply. So y'all stay on the lookout for that Patreon family because we're gonna
Yeah, whenever
apply
you guys
it.
want to do it, it's so fun. I take clients through it
Mhm.
with every session. I personally lead these groups every Thursday so people
Mhm.
can go into the Taurus.
Oh,
Um,
okay, fly. Yeah.
yeah, so I can get those on the calendar if you guys want to do them. But yeah, I have a whole visualization that takes I have a short version, but the version that I'd like to take you through is about 20 to 30 minutes. So you can really feel the tree of life. You can connect with the Pleiades. You can connect with the heart of the earth. You feel yourself in a Taurus. You know how to create the interpenetrating spirals that form the Merkaba. And it's a whole awesome thing. And the more you do it, it's like going to the gym. You just become it after time.
We're gonna talk about it because we might pull it off this Sunday if you can, if you do have
Yeah,
the
I'm
time.
here. Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be fly, and we'll definitely talk about it as well. Yeah, Pacho, Little Alchemist. Yeah, Ike, my son, he's doing the Emoto water thing for his science project and getting it in with speaking to the water, which you put rice and water in it.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, I heard that part. She's calling your son Little Alchemist. I see. I got it.
Um, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? Oh, and then so yeah, fire, Lindsay, fire. Y'all be on the lookout for us when we apply it. And tomorrow, family, tomorrow, speaking of throat chakra, that's exactly what we're doing. We're on the throat chakra part of this panic book, which we had a fire book club last time, and we got halfway into the throat chakra, but now we're gonna bring it all the way forward. So tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Patreon family, throat chakra, occult lectures, occult civilization, brother panic, and with this wisdom that Lindsay just dropped, oh boy, we can go there tomorrow. So yes, fair, yes, sir, family. I love and appreciate y'all. Love and appreciate y'all. Peace to the gods.